whole topic of femininity, womanhood, womanhood. Okay. Hi, and welcome back to Conversations with Shay. I'm your favorite host, Olwa Shay. If it's your first time here, a very, very big welcome. While you're here, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And a big thank you to all the likes, all the new subscribers that came in. Just you guys are just the real MVPs. Well, in honor of Women's History Month, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be kickstarting a whole series on Conversation with Shay. In honor of all my girlies out there, we're going to be having a whole thing on femininity, on womanhood. Last month was Women's History Month around the world, and I just feel like we don't need a month to just keep on talking about what it means to be female in this world. I'm in the whole spirit of doing something different, and I have my first guest on the show. Welcome, Dr. Annie. How are you doing today?
Fine, thank you, Shay, for inviting me here.
I'm so glad you're here. I think we need like a gold medal for this whole introduction, I guess, because it goes down in the history, and it'll be like, oh, conversation with she's out there. Dr. Annie was the first person to be here. For everybody else.
Of everything.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about you? About Dr. Annie? What is Dr. Annie all about?
Well, everybody hates this question, but it's actually an interview question, but I'll just try and answer it as authentically as possible. First things first, in terms of my identity, I call myself a child of God, a son of God, because that can never change. But a few things can never change to me being a woman. Well, in this world, it can change. This new world we live in, it can change. But like you being a woman, you being black, those type of things don't change. But I think for me to be grounded, I have to talk about Christ because that is what I believe is my foundation, cannot change. Other things about who I am, Nigerian. What I do right now is I practice as a doctor, but that's not, I try not to make that my identity. I'm interested in a plethora of other things. I'm interested, as you know, in mentorship, mentoring younger physicians, mentoring younger women. I'm interested in writing, telling stories, sometimes Christian stories, sometimes not, but mostly Christian stories. I'm interested, even actually in segueing to women, I'm interested in women's emotional health because I feel like that's so important because we deal with our physical health so much more sometimes, even being a physician, but most times I see a lot of women that the underlying issue is emotional, is mental, and we haven't dealt with it, and then it goes into the physical. So I guess I got married in November. So I'm married.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So I guess that's just the bullet points that you see about for everybody. But I think the biggest thing for me is my relationship with Christ, my work with Christ, my passion for younger people, and what I want to contribute, my purpose in life. I think that is really the driving force about me. Everything else, your marriage, where you work, your children, I think all those things are equally important. They're part of your ministry that God gives you, but who you are authentically, starts with that relationship with Christ, and certainly for me.
Yeah, definitely. And when you were talking, you spoke about your passion for younger people, your passion for younger women. Can you expatiate on that a little bit more?
Okay, so I think I'll talk about Be That Girl that you know about. Be That Girl is my mentorship organization that I started. When did I start it? Maybe 2008, but that was always like start and stop, start and stop. Yeah. I got more serious in 2000. Yeah, I think like 2 years ago. And I think it stemmed from me growing up when I was like 20s, when I was in like late teens, and not really having a lot of direction, not really having a lot of mentors that I felt were relatable. Because me and my friend always talk about it. Either you have somebody that's like, I've been Christian all my life. I grew up in the church. I'm a pastor's kid. And when I was 18, God showed me this guy and we got married. So everybody's like, you can't even relate. But then you have somebody that is extreme. I slept with 30 guys. I did this. I did that. You also can't kind of relate to that. So I didn't really have a lot of mentors that were relatable, normal to me. They were not extreme of both ends. And I felt like that was lacking. And I got like really passionate about it. And I think God puts that passion in you if it's part of your purpose. I thought it was just me being like, oh God, we need to do something about this. These children are going the wrong way. We need to help. But it was God actually making me passionate about women, you know. And I don't feel like I'm passionate about women, to be honest. I mean, there's International Women's Day. I'm passionate about young women, and I guess young women become older women, so I guess I'm passionate.
He spoke about not seeing a lot of mentors when you were growing up. So what would you say like I mean, we just had our Women's History Month. How would you say your first vision of what a woman should be, or like what a woman mentor should be to you?
I think my biggest, it started really late for me because I had no awareness of, okay, I'm a woman, I have to do this or I have to do that. I think the way I was raised, you know, all these things, when you even come to America and say, oh, if you're black, you can't do this, or if you're a woman, you can't do this. I just was never raised like that. I don't even know if somebody actually told me that, no, you can be anything you want to be, but I just always had that belief you can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But being more aware of like women I wanted to build my life to be like wasn't actually, well, I would say, okay, a little bit of church, but I would say it was in med school. And so it started kind of late because med school is in 20s, where I would go to like women in medicine meetings and I would see women that had kind of successfully balanced, you know, career and, you know, family, and they were doing really well for themselves. They looked really well, they were presented really well, you know, nails were done right, just looking really like, you know, they were very aspirational. And so I was lucky in terms of like, I actually saw people like that. A lot of people don't even really get to see people that you want to be like. This, you know, the closest they can get to them is maybe TV. So sometimes we kind of like, I would say look down or say, why do young girls want to be like, I don't know, I'm not like dragging Cardi B or anything, but that's just what they see as success. Like, she came from their hood, she looks successful. Of course, they're going to want to be like her. If you bring somebody else like Michelle Obama, that one just seems like a unicorn to them. So I could understand, but I was lucky enough to see that. And then the church I went to had a lot of like younger women that were successful in their career, that had families. And so that was where the kind of thought process of womanhood or the type of woman I wanted to be came from. The only thing I would say for me, for myself, was that I feel like it came kind of late because I was in my 20s. And I feel like you should have that mental picture, maybe younger, maybe in your, you know, like late teens at least, when you're like going to college. So at least you can start walking towards it. Because if you're like, you know, like if you're just jobless at home, and your friends call you, yeah, you go out with them. So there was no clear plan of like, this is what I want to be, you know, but I found it later. That's when I kind of like felt, okay, this is the type of woman I want to be, you know, and all that.
I feel like for me it was kind of different. I mean, like your own is like different, but for me, like kind of growing up, kind of seeing, I mean, not necessarily in my family, but like around me, it was just like, oh, a woman has to be like a caretaker, or like, oh, you have if you're going to be a girl, if you want to transition to the best version of yourself, you have to be very girly, but you have to wear pink, you have to wear the bows, you have to wear the shoes, and like I feel like sometimes like young girls have like that idea of like, oh, if I want to be successful, like I have to like dress a certain way, I have to be very girly, I have to express my femininity to like a key, I have to be helpless, or like I don't know. I just feel like that could be like a conversation. Like for you, like you found great mentors, lucky for you. But for other people, like they just stuck with that. Like me coming from Nigeria, like people always talking about, oh, like a woman's job is just meant to be in the kitchen, or it meant to be just not successful. So for people, like that was their own view of like what womanhood and like success should be, I guess. And I feel like I feel like my views of what women should be has literally changed. I feel like we're kind of like shifting back from that stereotype of, oh, girls have to wear like pink, or girls have to have like their bow on their shoe, or girls have to, you know, just I mean, like I'm just so happy like we're just advancing, I would say, and like we're being able to like express ourselves some more. And I feel like people like you being a doctor, and then that's, you're not saying as your identity, but like I feel like that's like a stepping stone in the betterment of femininity, if I would say. So do you feel like your views have changed over the years of like what a woman should be, I guess?
Girl. I don't know. I think that's such a loaded question in terms of what a woman should be. I think, to be honest, for us that grew up in African households, I feel like there are a lot of women, even in Nigerian society, that have broken those classes.
Yeah.
And so I really, maybe I had rose tinted glasses on. I really didn't see any type of limitations. It's really when I kind of like got more exposed or heard other women's stories that I realized, oh, there are limitations to women. Even if we don't talk about in terms of medicine, what was the International Women's slogan this year?
Like equity.
Yeah,
Like
there's a difference between equity and being equitable, right?
Yeah.
I think that was it. And that's very, very true in terms of like things like maternity leave. Like America has the worst, right? We don't have it. But if you give like a man 2 weeks and you give a woman 6 weeks, what's really the difference? Because she's the one that carries the child. Like, so I was thinking about all these things that they don't really make it easier for women. There's no type of thought process. There was one thing that my friend said. There's a doctor that finished earlier than me, and she's kind of really big in Kaiser, which is a big organization, and she's just like, they just treat women like they don't have wombs. So there's this type of expectation that you should do the same thing as a man.
Yeah.
And so when you get to the workplace, if that is your goal, you find out like you cannot get those promotions or hit those ceilings, because when when a man has a child, I mean, yeah, to
having the child.
yeah, he's not the one. His life doesn't change. His life changes, yeah,
As much
as
as
much
woman.
as a
Like
woman.
it's like emotional. I know I've not had a job, but like emotional,
Yeah, the
physical.
everything to get yourself back. And women do change. You want to raise your child, right? And so does the trade-off have to be like you're going to lose your career or you're not going to get to that level? That's why this woman, I think it's the Facebook woman, has that book Lean In, about women helping women. So I think at first maybe I was a little bit naive because I saw a lot of women doing it, and it wasn't actually women in my family. It was just women that I read about. People like, I don't know if you know Abike Dabiri. She was like a journalist in Nigeria. She's like, she's doing well. So to me, women are doing well. But that was a superficial level. But when you go like into it, you see how women are, I feel like women are stronger, better, faster.
They are
But are treated, they're not given a fair playing field,
yeah.
in especially in the career, in the workplace, and all that.
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely like second that, because being a woman, you have to work 10 times harder than any man will ever. Like they say, like I know we're fighting for equality, but I don't know if it can ever be equal. I feel like that's another topic on its own. But I just feel like we're fighting for equality, and it's just, I feel like it can never be the same, because at the end of the day, a woman has a womb. She has to deal with certain things, like not even like even before you even have your kids, you're dealing with cramps on a daily. You're dealing with your period. Your period brings different kind of things to you on just like
Different.
on different levels. Like I remember in school, when I was in boarding schools, like I'll be in so much pain in class, but there's nothing I can do because I have a male teacher and he doesn't understand the kind of pain I'm going through. So it's just like I have to sit down there and just do the work, and I just have to pass the exam because there's nothing else I can do.
Exactly.
So it's just like we have to keep on fighting. We have to, I don't even know at this point, not fighting. I don't even know what we're doing, but we just have to.
I think we have to be careful, because I always say I'm not a feminist because of the connotation of femininity. Not femininity, of feminism. In terms of now it's like this, almost like a sexual revolution, do whatever you want to do, blah, blah, blah. Abortion, so many things that are not part of being equitable with a man has come into feminism. I believe, yes, we should have an equal playing field. I believe yes, in secondary schools or in high schools, there should be some type of accommodation, like, okay, girls are going to have periods, what are we going to do for them? But it's almost as if, because the systems are built by men, and sometimes I found out, I feel like if I'm talking to myself and even other women, I feel like as you grow older, because, I would use medical training as my own example, because that's what I know. You try so much. I remember when I was younger, like, beginning training, I used to be like, how would these women, do they have suffer? You know what you go through when you're med school. Then when you now get there, you see a lot of women doing part-time. And yeah, I'm at that point where I'm like, yeah, I'm doing part-time because of my family. So you're just like, I could not even understand it, because to me, the sacrifice was too much. So you just have to go for gold. But now at the other side, I'm like, oh, I get, it's almost as if they have to choose between their sanity, burnouts, their family, and they said, you know what, I'm just going to choose what is going to keep me balanced. And so, hey, if anybody offers me part-time now, gives me extra money, I'm taking it. So we don't sometimes have a seat at the table, and it's clear how things are when they do things for girls in secondary schools, when they're fighting for things like transgender, another topic, instead of like fighting for women, making things equitable for women from secondary school, from work, through all the levels of life and training. It's clear that a woman wasn't there to make those decisions, because if she were, things would be much more different. And maybe it's International Women's Day. Maybe let's not make it just like face value. Let's every day, every year comes this one slogan. Let's just try to make a difference, And I'm actually even I'm on this table. I'm talking to myself too.
Yeah. And you said something about making a difference. So how can we make a difference? Okay, I feel like we're trying, but I just like, how can we be better? How
I
can
think you're true doing it, making a difference. Even though I think we always think there has to be this big audience we have to reach. But I was reading something that even if you're just influencing one person, that is an audience enough. So things like this, reaching more younger women, because you don't know the power of like words and the power of a seed. A young girl can watch it and say, she's right. I want to be a lawyer. And that can just certify into her. So I think doing all these small things, because sometimes if you want to change things at a big level, like a macro level, it just becomes so daunting. And then you kind of like say, I'm tired, I can't do it. I manage just one person. But if you kind of start small, changing people's minds, and then continuing, building on that, I think that helps. Things like this, things like Be That Girl mentorship, that helps, using your words, using your platform, no matter how small, no matter how big it is. I think overall, it will make a small difference, even though you may not see it or even be around to, to kind of see that difference in people's lives.
Yeah, I feel like that was just a wonderful way to set the tone. I'll just say my closing word for today is just be the change you want to see. And I feel like that word really like spoke to me. Like, it doesn't matter like if you don't feel the change, like someone else might feel that change. Someone else you don't know who. I know I just have like a few subscribers, but maybe someone will see this and be like,
one more subscriber than I do, or somebody else has.
It's just like one person will see that and be like, yeah, those women out there, right? This is something. This is a conversation to be had, and yeah, I hope you guys had a lovely time. Like I said before, this is just the beginning of this whole thing, this whole talk, this whole expose. I don't know. It's just the beginning. And well, Dr. Angela, thank you for coming on Conversations with Shay. I hope we have you a different time. And for all my pre-med students looking for mentorship, you can see Dr. Angela. You can follow her on Instagram at the Lighthouse Scholar.
Lighthouse Scholar. You can follow Be That Girl Mentorship.
Be That Girl Mentorship.
I can follow my Instagram, Eniela Prentice.
And well, till next time on Conversation with Shay, this is all the Shay. Thank you for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.